刷信用卡或者是借网贷欠下钱了，120。我想贷是我爸那个。
In order to experience the life of high society, the daughter racked up a massive debt of 1.2 million yuan and is unable to pay it back. She even went as far as forcing her elderly father to sell his house. People say that in old age, having the care and attention of one's children is already a blessing. But for Mr. Zhong, 62, every call from his daughter is a source of fear and anguish. So, what exactly is going on? Mr. Zhong explained that his wife passed away many years ago. His only daughter married more than a decade ago, and since his retirement, he has been living alone in this house. In daily life, father and daughter used to live in relative harmony.
平时一年整个8万回电话，就是经常给来电话，他一来电话，一听他电话，我腿就软。
Lately, the daughter, who used to call at most twice a year, has started calling frequently. Mr. Zhong said that now, whenever he hears the phone ringing, his legs go weak, unable to move, which sounds rather absurd. Then he explained the reason. It was all about a house. Currently, Mr. Zhong lives in his brother's house, but he had recently bought a new 80-square-meter apartment. Who would have thought that his daughter would set her eyes on it, demanding that once the deed was ready, he should sell it? Obviously, he refused. After all, this is the only house he has. If he sold it, he would be homeless. But how can a daughter commit such an ungrateful and cruel act against her own father? She bluntly said, "He's my father, he has the duty to help me." Who would have thought? Mr. Zhong's daughter, named Qingqing, directly admitted that she wanted to sell her father's new apartment because she owed 1.2 million yuan. From the cloth bag she carried, she pulled out a thick stack of bank statements, all of them her own bills. She said the bank had been pressing her for repayment for some time. With such a large debt, she could no longer manage, she had reached the end of the road, and so she turned to her father for help. Who could have imagined this? Do you know? For us, the ultimate disaster is a crushing catastrophe, simply an overwhelming disaster, she said, her voice trembling. She explained she could no longer return home, and her husband, Haitao, was shocked. A month earlier, his wife suddenly came to him asking for a divorce, leaving him completely stunned. After questioning, he found out she owed money. But after more than 10 years of marriage, with a seemingly stable relationship and even a daughter, how could she suddenly want a divorce? At first, Qingqing said she only owed 300,000. After being pressed, she admitted it was more than 1.2 million, which made Haitao collapse. At that moment, I broke down, I fell to the floor, I cried. My mother was right there, she had already lost her mind, he recounted in tears. The couple both had stable jobs, and household expenses were mostly covered by Haitao. Qingqing's monthly salary of 3,000 to 4,000 yuan was under her own control. In theory, she should at least have saved some money. How could she possibly be so deeply in debt? Qingqing, with a face full of shame, after much hesitation, finally revealed the truth. I used credit cards and took out online loans. I owe more than 1.2 million yuan, she confessed, head down. She admitted that before, she had been vain, spending money to experience high society life. She bought luxury goods, watches, rings, gold and silver jewelry. It was all for appearances, she said. I spent so much I can't even remember how much anymore, she added, trying to justify herself. Even so, what she showed wasn't worth that much. The most expensive watch she had cost only 8,000 or 9,000 yuan. But the problem was that she bought things every single month. In addition, she liked bags. She showed 7 or 8 of them, but together they weren't worth more than 100,000 yuan. What worsened the situation were the interests, which, over time, piled up to an absurd level. Qingqing explained that it all started 10 years ago, when she graduated from university. After finding a job, she realized her income didn't cover her expenses. So she applied for a credit card and began spending ahead, paying only the minimum each month, ignoring interests and late fees. She always thought that in the future she would be able to repay. But the snowball only grew. Even her wedding dowry was paid with a credit card. Her husband confirmed. Everything she bought since our marriage was bought by her. My family never gave her anything, not a single cent, he said indignantly. According to him, his wife already had a record. At the time of their marriage, she insisted on taking a loan to buy a car, even though she couldn't afford it. She didn't want her husband involved, insisting she could pay it herself. In the end, She couldn't even handle the 200,000 or 300,000 car loan. To cover that, she applied for more credit cards. Thus began the vicious cycle of robbing Peter to pay Paul. But Ching Ching thought it was natural. At least with a credit card I didn't have to beg anyone, she said unapologetically. From then on, her view of spending changed completely. She began spending recklessly on designer bags, luxury goods, and even financial products, completely beyond her means. She eventually had 8 credit cards, but none could fill the hole. Still, she did not repent. On the contrary, she turned to online loans. Until one day, her father called. Mr. Zhong wanted his daughter to help him with some renovation money and promised that, after his death, the house would be transferred to her. Ching Ching readily agreed and then took out another online loan of 160,000 yuan. It was then, after doing the math, that she realized she already owed more than 1.2 million. I used credit cards, I took online loans, now I owe 1.2 million. Friends, everyone knows. The whole world is involved now. Everything has turned into chaos. The interest is outrageous, I'm on the verge of collapse, she cried out in near panic. Indeed, it was the portrait of someone ruined by vanity. After more than 10 years of marriage, her husband confessed he had never known the real situation. She always hid her excessive spending. Haitao, with no way out, started borrowing money from friends and planned to sell his mother's old house together with the new one to repay part of the debt. Even so, it still wasn't enough to cover 1.2 million. So they decided to pressure Mr. Zhong. The mediator scolded Ching Ching. All for vanity, ignoring the suffering of others. Now you need to learn to face your own problems, he exclaimed sternly. But she wouldn't listen. She kept insisting her father sell the apartment. Mr. Zhong was so furious he couldn't even speak. Faced with his refusal, Ching Ching made a shocking move. She knelt before her father, crying, promising that from then on she would work hard, take care of him in his old age, and do everything to make up for it, she begged in tears. That left the old man not knowing what to do. After all, she was his own daughter, though she had never really been very filial. Even with the mediator's advice not to sell the house, Zhong finally gave in, willing to help his daughter once more. But there was a detail. The new house Ching Ching coveted had not been bought by Zhong, but by his brother, so that Zhong would have a place to live. Upon learning this, Ching Ching immediately called her uncle, demanding, "Rent a house for my father nearby and give me that apartment," she said shamelessly. The uncle, already tired of such calls, could not hide his resentment. After all, since her mother's death 10 years earlier, Ching Ching had hardly visited. She didn't even show up at her wedding to greet her father. Only now, in the middle of a crisis, did she remember him. Her husband, Haitao, also lost his patience. The family is already facing so many difficulties, and you still cause more trouble. Go ask whoever you want, I'm done. This responsibility isn't mine, he shouted before storming out. He had already taken on 200,000 of her debt. Now, faced with another 1.2 million, he gave up and left. The mediator breathed a sigh of relief at the uncle's decision and advised Ching Ching to negotiate directly with the bank. Honestly, reaching this point is shameful. What ordinary working-class family could ever handle a debt of 1.3 million? Whoever creates it must bear it. And yet, until now, Ching Ching has never recognized her mistake, he declared firmly. The story left everyone outraged. More than just a family drama, it is a warning. We must learn to live within our means. We cannot spend beyond our capacity just for status. As the saying goes, the gifts of fate already come with a hidden price tag, all the more so when it comes to debt, the narrator concluded. And what do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments.
What shocks the most in this story is not just the size of the debt, but how it was built step by step, almost imperceptibly. Ching Ching didn't suddenly wake up one day owing 1.2 million yuan. This disaster began with small choices, a credit card used just to cover a hole, a status purchase here, another one there, paying only the minimum as if it were a solution. For years, she fed the illusion that one day she would be able to pay. But the math of debt never forgives interest and penalties keep growing, and when the person finally realizes it, it's already too late. But what makes this case even more outrageous is her attitude. Instead of facing reality, owning her mistake, and finding a way to solve it, Ching Ching chose to lean on the one person who had the least obligation to carry this burden, her elderly father. a man already past 60 who lost his wife early, who worked his entire life, and who now only wanted to live in peace. This father became the target of emotional blackmail, as if he were responsible for his daughter's choices. The cruelest detail is that he didn't even buy the house she wanted to sell, it was given by his brother. Even so, she didn't hesitate to kneel, cry, and beg, not out of genuine remorse, but because she saw her father as her last way out. And here comes the question, is this a daughter's love or emotional abuse? Many will say that family exists for these moments, that parents should help their children when they fall. But at what point does that help stop being love and become exploitation? Mr. Zhang had already done enough. He raised her, supported her, and gave what he could. Now, in his old age, he should be reaping care and peace, not living in fear of every phone call. For me, the lesson here is clear. Everyone needs to bear the weight of their own choices. It's different when someone asks for help in a real emergency, something unexpected and out of control. But spending out of vanity, living for appearances, hiding debts from your husband and entire family, and in the end expecting everyone else to pay the price, that's not an innocent mistake. That's calculated irresponsibility. And this is not an isolated story. How many people do you know who spend more than they earn just to look good in front of others? Designer bags, finance cars, trips paid in installments, all bought with money that doesn't even exist yet. Deep down, it's a race against time, pretending to live a lifestyle that cannot be sustained until, inevitably, the mask falls. The great irony is that, in the end, it's not only the indebted person who suffers, the family suffers too. Her husband, He Tao, who had already taken on 200,000 yuan of debt because of her, simply gave up. And who could blame him? Even love has limits when trust is destroyed. Her father, on the other hand, was torn between the duty of protecting his daughter and the right to finally rest. And anyone looking from the outside feels the same mix of indignation and pity. How can someone be so naive and so cruel at the same time? This case is a painful reminder of something simple. Spending more than you earn just to keep up appearances is not freedom, it's a prison. A prison without bars, but with interest that grows every month, with collection calls that steal your sleep, with shame that corrodes your most important relationships. In the end, every choice has a price. And the price of vanity may be higher than anyone is willing to pay. So, what do you think? Should a father really sacrifice everything to save a daughter in these conditions, or should everyone bear the consequences of their own choices? If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. See you in the next video.